この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for Sora Yorimoi Toibasho episode 13, the finale. Important to say that it's the finale and not the climax, because I think the climax has already happened. I think episode 12 was the emotional confluence, the coming together of everything in this show, and was the point where all of the major issues for all of our characters were resolved. Hinata got her chance to do something cool and do it on her own, and she even got the plus, the icing on the cake of getting to sort of say up yours to the girls who put her in her initial position. Kimari got to do something crazy and goofy and fun and out there and actually set her youth into motion. Shiraishi got to make real good friends and find out what that really means. And Shirase got closure, painful closure with her mother. But all of that, as awesome as it was, all of it kind of pales in comparison to the message or the moral or the things that you can glean from episode 12. And I want to talk about this because something happened over this past week since we watched episode 12 that hasn't happened for me due to an anime in a little while. A good little while. And it's a good thing that happened, and I want to talk about it. It made me think. It made me really, really genuinely think. Often, having watched as many shows as I've watched with a critical eye, and that's the important part, right? Because sitting and just binging anime all the time is fine and good entertainment, but watching with a critical eye is different. It's different because you're trying to piece things out. And when you watch enough shows, the morals and lessons become kind of almost like a checklist, and that's maybe sad, right? There are certain lessons that are so frequently repeated in anime and manga that they're like, okay, yep, that's the one we're going for. It works in the situation. That's fine. It just doesn't do anything or make me question anything because it's a lesson or an idea or a revelation or whatever, a moral or an allegory or whatever, that I've already integrated, right? I've already seen it before and thought about it and taken it in and made it a part of the way I think about the world and turned it into a part of my perceptual lens, right? The way in which I view other shows and the way in which I view reality, right? At least to a small portion or to a small extent. But what doesn't happen that often is a show brings up an idea, a new idea, or an idea that maybe I had touched on before, but forgotten or fallen away from. And Yorimoi episode 12 did that to me. It did that to me. It sparked me to start thinking and thinking really seriously and reevaluating myself and some decisions that I've made and like the way that I'm doing things in my life. And it all sort of comes back to the channel, and it comes back to the idea that I ended up honing in on or focusing in on in the episode 12 discussion, which was coming to the end of a goal, right? That last step before you reach the point where you wanted to be, right? The initial starting out point, this was the goal. It made me start thinking about that moment in particular, and it made me realize some things about where I am and where this channel is and how it fits with that. So I've told the story to an extent of how this channel started and like the things that occurred in my life personally that led to the channel starting. And some of you have been here since that time, since the very beginning when I was recording the shittiest quality videos, but with all the passion in the world. And I want to talk about that guy a little bit, just a little bit. And I don't think we need to go into too much detail about like the story, too much nitty gritty, gruesome detail or anything like that. But we should probably talk about a couple of the signposty things. And this is a thing that I want to talk about for me more than necessarily for you. So I understand if you want to skip it, but it's personal and I think it matters. And I think it's important. And I want to talk about it because it's definitely important to me. And this episode has been important to me. And I think that talking about the way that it's affected me over the past week and may continue to affect me in the future could be important to you. So when I started out this channel, I was in a really bad place, in a really rough spot personally. I'd been living with my dad at my dad's house for a variety of reasons. Partly because he needed help with like taxes and stuff. When I arrived, he was financially just in a mess. He hadn't paid his mortgage in like 5 or 6 months, and was getting letters from the IRS and the franchise tax board in California and the mortgage things, and he was just freaking out. He was freaking out. So I went back and I just started slowly like managing those things. And in the meantime, I was working freelance programming jobs because I have a computer programming degree. I'm actually wearing my computer science shirt. I have a programming degree. I used to work in Silicon Valley in Berkeley, and I made good money doing it. But the whole like the vibe in Silicon Valley just kind of sucks. And I realized that if I was just going to bounce between freelance job or yeah, between startup job to startup job, I might as well just do it freelance from home and save a shitload of money on exorbitant rent costs in the Bay Area. So I went home and everything sort of lined up, right? I could help my dad get out of his financial problems, and I could work from home doing freelance stuff. And it started out going pretty well. I found freelance stuff. I felt like I had a lot of freedom. I was doing really well. Things were pretty good, but they weren't. But they weren't because I really hated coding, and I didn't really realize it. It took it took something to shake me to make me really recognize it, and that something was the death of my dog. So after I arrived, my dad like left. He just disappeared from the house. Um, Told me he was leaving, right? It was like I'll be back in a week or two. Gonna go stay at this lady's house. He was starting to form a relationship with her while also working on her house. He does like handyman stuff. But he was starting to form a relationship with her, and he wanted to go and start staying there because commuting back and forth was expensive and took a lot of time. A week passed. He didn't come back. Another week, another. It ended up being like a month. Finally, we ended up making contact. Things were okay, whatever. Then my dog died. And this dog had been with me since I was 10. And it was shocking and brutal. And it was rough. And it was pretty much my first like close experience with watching a creature that I cared about leave this mortal coil, watching her die. And she died in my arms. And it was not fun. It was bad. And it broke me, honestly. It broke me. It shattered me. I couldn't look at my computer. I came to the realization that I really hated coding and couldn't do it. That if I was going to sit there and continue trying to make money by programming and use that money to like send to my dad so that he could help pay for the mortgage and the utilities and stuff, I was gonna kill myself probably if that kept going. It just wasn't gonna last. So I stopped and I just walked away. Um, that was probably not the best decision because I really didn't have anything to fall back on. I had essentially a freezer full of food, and that's it. And I started thinking and coming up with ideas. And I, the kind of amazing thing about being broken is that you can reforge yourself. It's one of the reasons that other shows have been particularly valuable to me. Land of the Lustrous is one that's particularly important. The Buddhist ideas that are woven into Hoseki no Kuni are really fantastic. The perspective of shattering and then incorporating new elements from your environment, new ideas, new thoughts, new methods, new ways of seeing the world, and becoming stronger and more resilient because of that, going from fragile and useless to incredibly potent and powerful, but losing parts of yourself in the process, and how that's kind of an inevitable course of things. And then other things that I've talked about as well. I think that Devilman Crybaby, as weird a show as it is, was also pivotal to me because I found insights within it into the nature of the Jungian shadow and the nature of psychology. And these were the things that I started thinking about, and eventually they came to some really beautiful ideas, I think. Um, some really beautiful ideas. One of them I refer to as like the simplex. It's the idea that in cliche terms everything is connected and that connections are strength. That things being interesting indicates that they have value. that things being popular means that they're valuable to, like, the collective ideas of a broader humanity, that repeated ideas in media that resonate with us are crucially important, that they're signposts and waypoints for people that young people especially can use to model their lives. And then to the concept that criticism of those ideas, of those media, might be in and of itself a very important form of creation, as well as an important learning experience for me, because it would mean forcing myself to keep watching anime with a critical eye. And knowing that I'd gained so much from it in the past, I could probably gain so much more in the future. It also meant as an idea that when there's art built on top of art, there's an intersection of creative values and perspectives formed. When multiple people get together to collaborate on something, more value is created. And anime, especially original anime, is inevitably a team effort, and it's one that creates creative intersections at a massive scale. And in part, that's because it's such a broad thing that requires so many different moving pieces, right? You need people doing the script, and you need people doing all kinds of things. And you could say that the same sort of collaborative thought occurs in Western film, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that the dynamic of Hollywood filmmaking and even indie filmmaking hampers real expression of challenging ideas. And for indie filmmaking, the reach of those films is really hampered. But anime is unique because to write the lines, to draw every frame, to pass each scene through dozens and dozens and dozens of hands, dozens and dozens and dozens of times, to pass off all the lines to voice actors, to figure out the emotion in each portion of everything. There's so much potential for artistic intersection, for intersectional value, right? And some of that value might come from just the pure entertainment, the escape and things like that. And that's valuable. There's nothing to say that it isn't. But there's also so much more value from doing things like pondering universal questions in ways that are impossible to demonstrate in reality, or for showing genuinely valuable life lessons, or when you hear a really good line that's been definitely thought of and thought through. Whenever something sticks with you in a show, it's very likely that multiple people had to agree on whatever that thing was, whether it was a line or a phrasing or a shot or a sequence or an animated scene or whatever. It's likely that a bunch of people agreed on it. The director, the storyboarder, the people who are actually drawing it, the animation checkers, everybody had to agree. And that means that a bunch of people have touched it, right? That's value. It might seem redundant to point that out, but sometimes people mistake entertainment as something worthless or a waste of time, and I don't think that's the case. Even the most, like, escapist, whimsical show that I can think of, K-On!, has, like, so much more to it. They form a sort of dedicated band, and they spend most of their time drinking tea and eating sweets, and they do put on a couple of kick-ass performances, but there's a stupid line in it that sticks. Tanoshi wa tanoshi dayo, right? Fun things are fun. It's the stupidest, simplest, most basic thing, but a bunch of people thought about that line and how it would be delivered, and it works the way that it does for a reason. It's also really fitting that a whimsical show delivers a lesson about the value of whimsy. But I kind of digress. All I think is that art is valuable. And after spending some time in some significant deep depression and throwing away the things that I had spent 4 years of my life studying for and more years actually working on and practicing and trying to become better at, despite hating it in programming, I sized myself up and thought that maybe I would have a chance to step out in the ring and put my neck out there and do what people like SOS Bros do. But do it my way, add value to everything that I watched, try to keep my eyes open for value, try to watch critically, to expand on that value and extrapolate from it and create more. And that set me thinking about what is criticism and how do I do this. And criticism is part distillation and part judgment. And that judgment portion has to be individual, from the individual, right? You can't make bold, overarching, universal claims about the nature or value of entertainment media. You can't. It has to be individual and personal and subjective. But when you state those individual judgments publicly, you can broadcast those to the whole, and then they can be discussed and argued against, and eventually they can become one footnote in a larger, stronger, more robust discussion. So with that in mind, I took what I had around me, which was a webcam, and I happened to have access to a good microphone and a small investment in a very, very cheap digital audio interface, and I could do anything. I had a freezer full of ground beef and a fridge full of eggs and a little bit of time, and $0 in the bank. I think at that point, actually, my bank account was slightly overdrafted. I think I had like negative 75 cents or something in my bank account, which meant that eventually, when we would tick over to the end of November, I would be hit with an overdraft charge, putting me even more in the red, which would basically sink me and be death. And that also coincided with the time when I would run out of food. So I went in with zero, with nothing, and dreams and goals and reckless idealism. I basically took all of the ideals and thoughts that came from anime and played a game of chicken. Played a game of chicken against the universe. I started recording. I went into a flurry of creativity. Started learning video editing because I didn't know how to edit videos. Expand my editing skills for thumbnails, figure out how to brand, write the copy for Patreon, write the copy for the channel, figure out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. What kinds of principles did I want to stick to? Did I want to advertise? Hell no. Patreon only, blah, 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 blah. How do I want to do this? And the answer was always more. Give more, create more, make more value. Never stop, never slow down. Make more, make more, make more. And it was a gamble of chicken against the universe, as I said. And the way that I think about it and the way that I thought about it was in terms given to me or demonstrated to me by Akagi, terms that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't had anime, you know? There's a sequence in Akagi where the main character is in a game of chicken against a group of gang members, and he's like 16 or something. And he and this other guy are flooring it toward a cliff. And at the bottom of the cliff are a bunch of rocks, and then the ocean. And they're flooring it toward the cliff. And the other guys are cheating. They're gonna do a particular thing. They're gonna bounce or something. And Akagi does the impossible. He doesn't slow down. He doesn't hesitate as he hurtles toward the edge of that cliff. He floors it instead. Because he knows that if he hesitates, if he doesn't floor it, if he loses even a mile per hour, that the vehicle is going to floop and then crash into the rocks. But if he floors it, he's going to get enough distance to clear the rocks, hit ocean, and be able to swim to safety. Right? And that was the idea that I held on to super, super tight. That I could floor it. That by going all out, I would risk everything. But if I didn't hesitate, I would avoid hitting the treacherous rocks, where so many people who try to become public, who try to make a channel on Twitch or YouTube, they fail in the first month, right? And that was something that I knew was not only possible, but ultra likely, like 99% chance that it would fail. So I gave myself the month, right? I didn't really have much choice because I was going to starve at the end of that month regardless. So I floored it, and it worked. Barely, but it worked. And then a lot more than barely. Like a lot more. From the very beginning, what I wanted was a really simple interrelated group of goals. I want to get my voice out there. I want to share the value that I see in anime because it has genuinely affected me in positive ways, and I think it can do the same for other people. I want to do something that I love and that I don't hate myself for doing. I want to do something that I can genuinely believe, while being honest to myself, produces value for other people and is enjoyable on my end. And I want to be able to sustain that. That's it. That was all I ever really wanted, was to be able to sustain it. And the crazy thing, the insane thing is that I'm there. And that's why Yorimoi has hit so hard. Why episode 12 has hit so hard. But there's a little bit more here. That was the initial goal. And it stayed the initial goal. and we just fucking accelerated. We just accelerated. We blew so far past it so fast that I honestly still can't even fathom where we are as this channel and as a creator. This is already a success story on an order of magnitude that I absolutely could have never expected, and I'm a little bit lost, honestly, and that's where Yorimoi comes in. But again, there's a little bit more. That was the initial goal. Things started to get bad, really bad at home, really really bad. As we started making more money, once we started making about $300 a month, I started sending almost everything that I had to my father because he still wasn't doing well, still was in a rough spot. So I started sending him money and more every month as I made more and more until I was sending him $800, $900, $1,000 a month. Yeah. He, like, yeah. Everything beyond minimal food expenses. The house that I was in is pretty dilapidated and was pretty dilapidated. It's on 3/4 of an acre, and that 3/4 of an acre is super overgrown. It was when he left, and had been for a long time. And he had me turn off the sprinklers because they cost a lot of money. I can't really go outside there. I am deathly allergic to bees. It's a grown allergy because I've been stung so many times because my dad keeps bees. And it got worse and worse and worse until anaphylaxis started occurring. So I couldn't really go outside and work. But that was the thing that he honed in on was working outside, working on the yard and the house and stuff like that. And I couldn't do it. And I kept telling him that I couldn't do it, and he just wouldn't get through. So I just sort of ignored it and just kept working on this and nurturing this and sending all the money that I could to him and hoping that it would buy me enough time. And it was working. It was working. I was focused. I was moving forward. I was achieving something. Every month I was sending him more money, and I thought that was good. By the time I started sending him $800, $900, I thought that he would get it. I thought he would see the upward progression and realize that I was onto something. That I could, that I was moving up, that I would be able to help him pay for the house, that I wouldn't be a burden, that he would be proud. And then 1 month, the day that I sent him the money, he started sending me texts, and he was absolutely fucking enraged. He had driven by the house and was checking in and saw the nature of the yard, which was dying because it was midsummer in Southern California and the sprinklers were off. And he had done this a week before, and then he just started stewing for a week. And all he cared about was the yard. The 3/4 of an acre that he hadn't been able to take care of left with me. And I just couldn't do it. There's no way. I couldn't go outside, But he was furious. He was furious. He had asked me to turn the sprinklers off, and I had obeyed, but that didn't matter. He was furious that the lawn was dead because it was dry. It didn't matter. None of it mattered. So he started telling me to get out. Started making threats. Started sort of idly speculating that he would come and destroy my computer and destroy everything that I had because in his mind I owed it all to him. It was all his anyway. So that became the dynamic for months, pleading with him for more time because I was still only making about $1,000 a month at that point. And rent in this area is $1,000 a month, basically bare minimum, no chance. So I just kept sending him rent. I kept looking for somewhere to go, and all the time, all of this was going on in the background, and I did everything I could not to let it slip through. Not because I'm like afraid of sharing vulnerability or anything like that, but because I couldn't. Because this channel was like almost safety, Anime was safety, as it had been before in my depression and anxiety. It was solace and an escape for me as much as for the people that I was making the content for. So I just kept going. get up every day, make videos, watch anime, find meaning in it, find value in it, enjoy it, even though there's the horrible threat of like death coming, right? You know, if my father's about 2 inches taller than me and about 30 pounds of pure muscle above me, hard manual labor all his life. Man could kill me easily. Man could destroy me easily. There is just no chance that I could put up a fight against him. It's not even worth a thought. So I became afraid, like really afraid, really genuinely paranoid. I installed a cheap Wi-Fi camera in the front of the house, and in some of the older videos before I moved here, um, near the end of my move, before I came here, you can see the phone would be right here under my computer monitor, and whenever I would hear like a truck go by that sounded a little bit too much like my dad's truck, I could glance at that and just reassure myself that it wasn't him, that I didn't have to interrupt my recording because I wasn't about to have an angry monster burst through the door and cause me or my things harm. That was where I was at for months. I kept a baseball bat by the front door and another one inside my room. I really didn't know what he was capable of. Every day when I woke up, I would simultaneously dread and crave checking my phone because on one hand, I could guarantee that there would be comments and notifications and messages from Discord, from the videos before and from the day before and from that night. People communicating, communities forming, people thinking about media, evidence of my progress, and cool stuff, community, people caring, people finding their own value in anime and sharing it. Awesome. But there was also a pretty good chance that I would find a text waiting from him. He really knew how to get to me, and he got pretty fucky with it by the end. There's really nothing like waking up to a text sent at 4 a.m. the day before that just says, "Get out," all caps. Or an email that doesn't have a subject line or any text in it, just a link to an article, how to evict your adult child. Or an angry tirade literally in the middle of the day at like 1 p.m. Just a stream of barely coherent texts. Really fun. Super wonderful. Great way to exist. Never knowing if today was the day when he would just pop, just like blow his lid and take action, drive the 45 minutes or so that it would take for him to get here and kill me. I didn't know. Never knowing what that action would be, only knowing that I couldn't stop it if he tried, right? Like that there was nothing that I could do. Too strong, too fit, too capable, too angry. So I slept poorly, terribly. I woke up shaky. I shivered in the mornings from the freezing cold of a house with a broken furnace, and I shivered because I was terrified. And then every morning I woke up and I put all of that away and I watched anime. And I loved it because I fucking love it. And it was all for the same goal. To continue, to survive, to keep nurturing this seed. But the seed was in super hostile ground and needed a transplant. So I hunted and hunted and hunted for an apartment, and he sent messages more and more frequently, more and more demanding. And at a certain point, I was prepared to settle for literally anything because I was in a genuinely dangerous place. Physically, I couldn't go outside. There were bees that would kill me. If I went outside for 2 or 3 minutes, one of them would start taking an interest, right? That's how bees work. They would catch your scent and not start out hostile, but interested. And if you stay out long enough or you start getting scared, they'll get really interested and then they'll sting you. Mentally and emotionally, I was being bombarded constantly by threats to make me homeless, to take everything with no warning, to destroy everything that I had built out of spite, pure spite, right? Still sending my father money every month, still trying to do all of this. So I spent all of my time hunting for apartments. Then I found this place. It was maybe the dozenth place that I visited. And the routine had gotten really old at this point. Chit chat with the landlord. Eventually the question comes up, so what do you do? And then, it's kind of weird. I work online. I make YouTube videos. I make good money. And I got used to watching their eyes kind of just go dull as they went like, "Oh, very cool. Yeah, the young people are doing all sorts of things like that these days." And I would do things. I'd show them like the Patreon payout, just be like, "This is what I'm making. This is real money. It comes from real places and is real numbers in my real bank account." And they'd just sort of nod dully and like give me the application form, and I would fill it out. They'd promise to contact me back. They'd never contact me back. Eventually, I found this place, and it was warm. And I don't mean physically. I mean the vibe. It wasn't an apartment. It's not an apartment. It's a home, and it's one room in a home. $750 a month plus utilities, which is pretty cheap. Some rooms in houses with no liberties, no like kitchen use or anything like that, go for $1,200 in this area. And then I saw the shelves of DVDs and the movie posters on the walls, and sort of chuckled and said "good taste" under my breath. And the guy in the house heard me and laughed, and I took a little bit of a closer look at the disc cases. Lots of movies, lots of Blu-rays, lots of PS4 games. And then I glanced at the PS4, and on top of it, sitting on top of it, was the Blu-ray case for Spirited Away with the case open and the disc out of it. No disc in it. The disc was already in the player. So I look back to the shelves and I see that there are anime films scattered within. Ghost in the Shell, multiple Miyazaki films. Okay. And then I see some old like OVA compilation things. Oh shit. And then I see a shelf of VHSs. And there are some old OVAs on there. Oh shit. So I started talking to him about anime and what I was doing, and we hit it off. They asked real questions about what I do, not like, "Oh, how much money do you make? Oh, you must make lots of money," right? Real questions like, "Oh, that's cool. What kind of content do you make? Oh, so you do like analysis and criticism? Yeah, but I also do like watch along things. So it's like almost like a let's play, but for oh, that's kind of cool. That makes sense. I could see that. I love watching things with friends. That's blah blah blah. Real conversations. It's fucking amazing." So I left, and it was cold that night. I remember being cold, and I remember being underdressed for it, so I was like huddling up, just standing outside waiting for an Uber. And the dude pops his head out the door and goes like, "You need a ride?" No. I don't need a ride. I'm good. The Uber's about to be here. But at that moment, I fucking knew. I was just like, yeah, this is the place. 100%. I got a call the next morning. We'll give the room to you. And I packed that day, and I was out in 3. Now I'm here. In the months since then, I have had no contact with my father, and I hope I don't ever have to, honestly, genuinely. I am, at this point, safe. Safer than I have been in a long time. I have an emergency savings fund. This house is warm. The people here are warm. They're real people with real families who know what love is, and this house is full of it. And to me, it is intoxicating because I have been without it for so very long. All of this to say that I started from the very bottom in my own mind. It could have been worse, right? I could have been genuinely homeless, and that's a genuine possibility, and I wouldn't have the opportunities that I used to get to where I am now. And that's fair, and that's true. But I came about as close to rock bottom as I have ever been. And as far as the person who I was then is concerned, I have everything that I could have ever wanted, everything that he could have ever wanted. I've made it. I'm safe. I have a relatively sustainable source of income, and I love what I'm doing. I've made it. And that is a very, very, very scary place to be. A very scary place to be. The only reason that I made it for a month in the first place was because I floored it toward that cliff. I knew that if I hesitated or if I slowed down, that I would surely die. I had to. I was driven because I had to be. I was wholeheartedly focused on my goal. Security. Make this work. Nurture the seed. Get it somewhere safe. Get away from that toxicity that you can't fix and fix the toxicity that you can. Create value for people and ensure that you can continue creating value. Those were the goals. So what's next? Episode 12 of Yorimoi has been sitting with me, and it's been sinking in a lot. More than most episodes of most shows, more than I expected, and with a weird delay to the gut punch. I realized, as I thought about it, that I have been kind of like Shirase. That I was driven toward a goal that I set for myself in the past, and now I find myself at the peak, at the precipice, and the worry is that I set my sights too low. I know for certain, because it's a lesson that I've incorporated, that maintain the status quo is maybe the least sustainable policy that you can possibly have, especially as a creative individual. You can't be content to reach a point of, I'm just barely safe, even if that position is unimaginably better from where I started, even if it's beyond what I could have possibly fathomed a year and change ago when I started this channel. I can't stagnate here. I have to keep moving forward, and I have to set higher goals. But it's hard. It's a struggle to set goals and to move towards something actively when every instinct you have is to be content with what you have. It's really hard to reconcile personal asceticism, which is something that I hold very dear. I don't put much stock in things or like worldly pleasures. I don't buy stuff very often. I don't spend a lot of money. Unless it's like necessities or things that I think will improve the channel. Like the biggest this last month, May, has been the month of biggest expenditure for me in 8 or 10 months. Because I purchased a new webcam, the new microphone, a new stand for the microphone, a couple of pieces of new cable, and a bit of software, right? All channel stuff. Also, the screen thing was a nice purchase, and another tripod for my camera so that it doesn't wiggle as much. It still wiggles, but not as much when I bump the desk. That's all I've purchased, that and food. That's all I pay for. That's all I want, all I need. That's my personal asceticism. I don't need much. I don't believe in things. I don't believe in hedonism. But it's easy when you have to look at your remaining food supplies and realize I will starve if I do not act. But when you have enough and you aren't the kind of person who wants things, it becomes difficult to come up with like a worthwhile goal. Now, one of the core goals to help people, to inform people, to create something and create value, and to share of myself in a way that others can relate to, that maybe will become valuable to them, maybe will help them inform decisions in their lives, or pass on some of the valuable allegories and morals that I've learned, to share my struggles, to show that it is possible to make it out of depression, of anxiety, of toxic family situations. That's still a core goal, and it's a valuable one. But it's still, I think, worthwhile and important to doubt my goals, to doubt myself, and doubt whether I should be content. I had this dream in the beginning, and I talked about it a few times, of styling this channel's growth thematically as a shonen journey, because it kind of is. But now, I personally am at a very similar spot in my shonen journey to where Shirase was during like the onion peeling sequence in episode 12 of Yorimoi. A spot of self-doubt, a spot of wondering, of being afraid to reach the goal, but also being afraid to stagnate having reached it. And I'm wondering if I have enough to motivate me. I'm wondering if the ideas and ideals that I've latched on to are enough to motivate me. They were the only thing that kept me going when the cruelty of reality set in. But I don't know if they're enough to motivate me without the negative reinforcement, the stick, the hounds of hell nipping at my heels. So I think you can maybe gather that I think I came to understand what Gin meant with those lines in this episode. About motivation versus keeping us going when the cruelty of reality sets in. It's about that necessary but not sufficient. They're the things that can pull you through your darkest moments, but they don't necessarily last when everything is okay, when everything's going well. And that's interesting and powerful and important because, for me, things have been going well, better than I could have possibly anticipated. And that's scary. And that's scary. Okay. This has been obviously the longest pre-discussion that we've had in a long, long time. And I think it deserves it. I think episode 12 deserves it. It didn't have that kind of impact on me when I watched it. It was good. It was really good. It nailed the emotional gut punches, thinking about them from the perspective of the characters. What it didn't nail initially, or what I didn't get initially from it, was the application to my life. And as the night progressed, as the videos were uploading, and as the week progressed, it started to come together for me. And it started to really affect me. And it's going to continue to really affect me. It's something that is going to have to be incorporated into the way that I think. It's something that's going to force me to break myself, because that's part of my cycle, part of the way that I exist. I have to break down my perceptual paradigms on a relatively regular schedule and reincorporate new information into them to fix them and grow and get better. And this is one of those things that's gotta break my current state of being. It's going to, because I need to incorporate it. I need to incorporate the ideas here. And they are contradictory to parts of the way I've been existing for the last couple of months. I've been really, and honestly, I want to step back and say this. I think I fucking deserve it, honestly. And that's, maybe that comes across as super arrogant or whatever, but that's fine. I think I deserve a little bit of time to chill mentally, because I've been in a state of elevated anxiety and stress and desperation and terror for a long time. And those things don't just seep out of you quickly. They don't just leave. Like, it's a chemical change that occurs in your brain and occurs in your body, and it is bad, and it takes time. I think I deserved these few months of slowing down a little bit and chilling, you know, a little moment to tread water just a bit, because I did pass over those rocks, right? The worst threat is gone. But to think that there aren't sharks in the water, to think that there aren't riptides and currents, and that I couldn't find myself moving in directions that will pull me under again, is ridiculous, is stupid. To think that I can remain content is stupid and foolish and foolhardy. And there's a 1-2 punch here now that we watched Revue Starlight episode 7 yesterday, because that episode is also all about conservation and stagnation and wanting to hold on to the goal that you've already reached instead of potentially moving forward and innovating and growing. So this is just it's become a complex of thoughts in my brain, and it's one that's going to shape, it's probably going to rear its head in a bunch of discussions as we move along through the next few weeks. I apologize if it gets old or cliche or repetitive, but I'm going to be fleshing out this idea or these ideas and coming up with new ones, because that's what happens when I incorporate new ideas. And maybe that'll be interesting and valuable to you if you watch a bunch of my reactions, to be able to see me come to conclusions about these ideas and incorporate them into the other ones that I like to profess and I like to bring up, because I think this one's important. I think it's valuable, and it just happened to hit me right at the right time, in just the right way to have an impact. So thank you for bearing with me. If you actually watched this whole, 45 minutes of just blathering here at the beginning, I wanted to get this off my chest and get it out there into the ether, because as I said, I think that making judgment calls and sharing personal things, personal anecdotes, and sharing the ways in which shows have impacted us is a way to help allow those ideas to come to the fore for other people, to be revealed to other people, right? and make them things that other people can latch on, things that maybe they can use to carry them through their darkest moments when the cruelty of reality sets in, you know? Okay, so it's been 45 minutes. I think I actually need to take a break now that I've done all of this discussion. So I'm going to take a break and come back, and then we'll talk about what I expect for episode 13, and then we'll watch episode 13, and then we'll discuss it, okay? I'll see you in a minute, and then we'll actually do this reaction. Peace. All right, welcome back. We're good to go for episode 13. First, I do want to talk about what I expect from it. As I said at the very beginning of the discussion, although it's been a little while since then, so you might have forgotten. As I said at the very beginning, I do think that episode 12 was the climax. So 13 is the finale. Our big emotional gut punches occurred. They're done. There could still be a little bit more, but now the question is, what do we do with the end? And the answer is kind of the same thing that you do with a really fine multi-course meal. You leave a pleasant taste in the customer's mouth, right? Whether that's with dessert or a dessert wine or something similar, or an after cocktail, you leave them with a pleasant taste in their mouth. So something sweet and light and not going to give them that sickly feeling of too much heavy things after a heavy meal, but something light and sweet to leave a pleasant taste in the mouth and ensure that the meal is remembered fondly. Same goes for anime, especially a series like this that is obviously self-contained. There's no room for a second season or reason for a second season. This is one story, and we're telling it, and we've told most of it. It's one adventure for these 4 characters, and that's it. So, what do? We went on the adventure. We got the things that we wanted. We had the climax that we needed, and now we depart. Now we reminisce a little bit, right? We set this entire journey into nostalgia, right? No longer as something in the future, no longer as something we're experiencing in the present, but as something that we look back upon with fond memories, in the same way that our characters will. Something that they can bring home with them, and something that we can bring home with us. Reaffirm some of the lessons that we've learned, but more than anything, just have a little bit of fun here at the end. And remember that this has been our amazing journey, and we should remember it forever. Cool. That's what I expect. I expect us to start the sort of somber process, the bittersweet process of packing up, but leave it more sweet than bitter. Because it's going to be wonderful. That's my expectation for episode 13. Let's do it. I've got it up. It's at 0 seconds. It's ready to go. There will be 2 versions of this reaction. You can find a picture-in-picture version with the video up there, linked in the description, and a timer-based version up on YouTube. If you'd like to do a syncy thing and sync up your own copy with the timer-based version, you're more than welcome to do so. Just get your copy ready because the beep beep timer to count you down will be coming at you now. "6 a.m. We waking up. Ugh. Yes. So, life going on. Ooh. I do not. Pork. Okay. The cup is water? What? Okay. Not my fault. It's Antarctica. And no Shirasei yet. Really. 3 days. Oh, lots of iron content. Taking the vitamin C. Is it weird that I know what brand of vitamin C tablets those were? Because that seems weird to me. All right. She's with more. Okay. Jesus. Just absorbing Pocky. Hmm. Island stroll? Oh, feeling left out. Yeah. Sounds like freaking Kirby. Oh my god, she does. Oh, cool. Huh? Oh, hi. Nice. Yeah, the vroom vrooms. Hmm. Ice. Okay. Oh. Pop Rock Ice? Yeah, kinda. That sounds awesome. Now that, now that is a fucking good idea. Hmm. Time marches on. Be cold. And shiver. Wait, are they? Oh, really? Doing flowing summon? That's cool. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that's all. Woof. Woof. That makes sense. Aurora. No. Yeah, no chance. Huh? Oh. uh, just cannot. Oh, yeah, sinks in that this is the end. She's still going. Yeah, it's almost over. Amazing. Yeah. All right, so now we're going to have our somber moment where we actually talk about it. Yep. Can we just stay forever? Mirror. Yeah. I don't believe you. You're gonna pinch me. Yep, there we go. What did you expect? I doubt it. Hmm. It's fun to step outside of reality for a little while, but yeah. Ah. Ah, okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. No. Awesome. Aw, yep. Wow, using the ED song? Or similar? What? Baseball? We're playing baseball. We're I'll consider it. That's a broken rib. Right, okay. And can Shirase hit them? Oh, I'll take the walk. Oh, wow. She looks older. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she is. Nope, just let it go. Bye-bye. Okay. She's gonna cut it into almost Takako style. Shoulders. Yeah. Uh, uh, uh. Aww. And reveal it to Gin, and how will she feel? She'll notice immediately. Oh, boy. Too good. Too familiar, almost. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's the smile. Oh my god. No, like, closure and moving forward. Symbolic of moving forward and moving on. Okay. Gin gets to function as narrator. Oh, buddy. Yeah. Wait, what? In front of the mic, no hesitation. Oh my god. There we go. She gets to put it all to rest, yeah. Oh. Gorgeous. Oh, yup. Hmm. Yep, there she goes. Yeah. What? No. I'm not crying, you're crying. There's just a lot of dust in this snow-covered landscape. And it empties out. What is it? Oh my god. Oh, nice. Oh, ah, nice. Aw. Yeah, please, let's not. I will cherish it forever. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Because she had her doubts about that before. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. How'd it go? Aw. That's so cute. Hmm. Whoa, we had an impact too. Yeah. Wow, what a line. Of course. Really growing up. She can leave it behind. She's. Yep. Perfect. Nailed it. Pitch perfect. Yep. 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 And away we go. And that's it. Farewell, Antarctica. Yes, they are. You sure do. Will she read them? Outbox? What's in the outbox? Is it from Takako or is it from Shirase? No. I need to know that. Don't fuck with me, man. We've done it before. No worries. Yeah. Yes? All of you, absolutely. Eh. Are we doing the jump? She's straight back to it. You do not. Just do the hop, skip, jump. Wait, Aurora? No way. No way. It's the only thing that makes sense here. Fuck yeah. There we go. Holy shit. We got to see it. Yeah. And yeah. Can't always capture everything. Oh, and there we go. All right. She sent the outgoing mail. It was to Shirase. Though she missed it. She missed it. Oh. I know. Of course you do. Nicely done, Geen. Nice. Wow, I had genuinely given up on them showing us what she saw and or seeing the aurora. But they held it. They held it in their back pocket right until the very end. Smart. Fucking smart. Oh my god, there's a lot left in this episode. There are 3.5 minutes left. Okay. Arriving home, eh? Oh. And I crossed the threshold. And yeah, it was kind of a Hinata quote. Not bad. She does. Oh, never mind. Oh, no need for that. Wow, and left it there. Wow. There sure are. Hmm. Aww. That's cool. It certainly does. Aha! Those are big fucking omurice. Ah, the ice. All returning to their starting points. Signs from fans. Ah, back here. And we can rest. Ah, hi Megu. Ah. What? What? That's the dopest! Best wishes for... Oh, you show. Oh, you show. Oh, you. All right. Okay. It's a pretty straightforward episode. There's a lot here. That's not to say that it's like an empty or a hollow episode by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot here, but it's a pretty straightforward one, and it is exactly what I expected. Our conflict is over. Our climax has occurred. We're in the aftermath. You know that feeling. I don't know if you do. Maybe people don't experience this. But you know that feeling after you've had yourself like a really good ugly cry, like a bad ugly cry, you know, and it's just out. It's just out, and suddenly you're just drained and almost euphoric, like almost a euphoria after an ugly cry, because you just don't have those negative emotions in you anymore, and the crying kind of turns to like giggling almost. You're like, and then everything's just very fun and funny because you've let it all out. That's kind of what this episode is. Episode 12 is the ugly cry. This is the almost euphoria afterward. This is the wrap up, and it's a perfect wrap up. It's pitch perfect as a wrap up, but it's also simple and predictable because like where are you gonna go from here? Now there are bits and pieces thrown in that add wrinkles, right? Gin finding the outgoing message is a really important one. The fact that Chirose would have missed it, do I buy it? Yeah, sure, why not? I'll buy into it. I don't mind at all. The little wrinkle of that we changed Megu, that our actions had an impact on someone else and made her go on her own adventure, that's pretty fucking cool. That's a great add-on. That is a great piece of icing on this cake. And generally, we shoot everything for nostalgia because we are leaving. Makes perfect sense. That's the whole focus of it, right? Doing the things that we've loved doing, loving doing them with the slight somber undertone of, oh wait, this is the last time. All right, 1,000-year-old ice, which becomes a plot point because we bring it back, and the aurora, and it's just night for a long time, stuff like that. And then we sort of somber up and do the thing. I will say that this is the most amazing thing because it's so perfect how Chirose is just completely caught in between two extremes of emotion. I am so happy to be surrounded by penguins, but they stink and they're crowding me and this is freaky, but this is amazing. And they nailed like a face for her that's just so perfectly stuck between emotions. I don't know where it is. There, yeah. There it is. Ridiculous and wonderful. Ridiculously wonderful. Okay, now I'm sort of just jumping around. Apologies for doing so, but there are a couple other things that I wanted to see. Hold on. She pulls out a bottle of vitamin C tablets, and holy fuck. No, it's the yellowish one with the reddish label. Yeah, they look like the Nature Made brand. Not the Now, but the Nature Made. And then there's another brand that looks exactly. It is. Yep. Oh my god. That's so silly. That's so silly. Okay, hold on. I need to save the image. I'll edit it in. Wow. Yep, they actually modeled it after a real container. That's quite fun. All right. And then there was the Kirby. What was that? It was Hinata saying something. Huh. Okay. I just find that fun. I don't know why. Some of you know that I play a lot of Smash Melee, but like the sound that Hinata makes here is just so pitch perfectly Kirby. Huh. Eh. Toya. It's so pitch perfect. It's crazy. All right. Ice operation. Cool. Everybody's going. Blah, 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 blah. Doing fun things like Nagashi Somen. Makes the stars more beautiful, talking about stuff. It's all putting everything into sunset, putting everything into nostalgia. And then this moment where we all promise to do something together. And the reluctance to leave. Yeah, is good. But what are we going to do? Yeah. Baseball, that's what we want to do. All right, this is pretty interesting. Takako could always hit them, and Takako is kind of here. Something in this particular frame. For the first time in the episode, and then throughout the episode, from this point forward, Shirase looks older. I don't know what it is, but she looks older to me in this moment. And boom, yep, she's watching. So, a haircut, a short length, like someone else we've known. But it's also symbolic. It's letting go, right? It's moving forward. And now she has that smile. She found her mother in herself, you know? She found that. She really is her mother's daughter. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, then we get the farewell, and it's awesome. It's funny and sincere and really cool. And then we get Shirase's speech, which simultaneously, she says a bunch of things which are important, but more than that is the way that she says them. She doesn't get freaked out or nervous or anything. She's more comfortable, more familiar, more open, and that's good. And she sums up her own journey and that she made it. That this is the goal, and she's happy that she's gotten here. And more than that, she recontextualizes this place, this location, as somewhere that changes people, that lays us bare, lays everything bare. A harsh environment that brings you, the real you, to the fore. Exposes everything. And every scene that we get of the landscapes here is absolutely goddamn gorgeous. The sunset, this just rock is gorgeous. It looks like it's on the moon. This glacier is amazing. This lake and glacier is amazing. It's all beautiful. We've overcome it together. It's not just the place. It's the people and the journey and the difficulty and the challenges and the journey of overcoming them. And now Shirase can say that she loves this place too. And through that, has connected to her mother, which is awesome. Fan-fucking-tastic, you know? Just great. Okay. Take home that, give you a penguin, pictures, and then the signing for Shiraishi, which is lovely. And then off we go. As she gives her the laptop. I don't need it anymore. Doesn't need to hold on to that. Shirase is free. And in a way, we could say that she now carries her mother with her. that they can be together when they're not together. But it also fits the mini plot at the end where she will find that one unsent message, a picture of the Aurora. Have we gotten tougher? I think we definitely have. Some things never change, though. And then, of course, that image, the important one, and the message. Do we get a date on it? I don't think we do. I don't think we're allowed to see a date. We see one unsent message. We don't know if it was from the day of, you know? We don't know if it's from the day of. We don't know when she sent it. That sucks. That sucks. We can headcanon it if we want to. No, it couldn't have been on the day of. She wouldn't have gotten to the laptop. Because it was found in the place. Still. The truth is that even if that image had been sent, even if that message had been sent, it wouldn't have mattered the way it does in this moment. Because now Shirase knows, right? Now she understands. Okay. Yeah, still gotta do the barfy thing. And we do see the Aurora. And it is gorgeous. And in this moment, we found ourselves seeing the same thing, and we can look upon that and smile and understand. Because we see it too, because we know it too, and we're all bonded by that experience. That's awesome. And then there's the homecoming. The return, the goodbye. The reaffirmation that we are still friends, still together. A line, yeah. Money isn't there, she left it behind. No need. And then in each character's voice, the lessons, the importances, and a greater value in the things that they have at home. The convenience store that's celebrating her journey, the home that's happy to welcome her back. All of it. For all of us. It's a return to the norm, but all of us are different. And then there's this. I mean, it's the best part, right? And it's part of like the whole thing. You know, our characters inspired another character in universe to go on her own adventure. Hopefully, our universe will inspire characters, people outside of the universe to go on their own adventures, right? Step outside your comfort zone. Do something crazy. Go on a road trip. Go backpacking. Doesn't have to be Antarctica. Go somewhere. Do something. Make it fun. That's cool. That's so cool. Winning hearts and minds, you know? Both in the show and outside. Perfect. I'm in the Arctic. That's glorious. And then, of course, best wishes for your life's journey. Putting a pin in it is perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's not a complicated episode. It's not a super heavy episode. It's not a crazy, difficult to understand episode. It just nails what it needs to do. It needs to be a really tasty dessert. And it needs to leave you feeling nice and leave a good taste in your mouth and ensure that you look upon this show with fondness. And does all of that. Absolutely does all of that. Big thumbs up. Overall take on Soriyori Motoiba show. I know some people have been waiting for this, in particular because I've made statements about Madhouse as a studio, especially in recent years. I would say that Soriyori is definitely an exception to my opinion of Madhouse as a studio. I don't think it changes my opinion of Madhouse in recent years as a studio. I still think that most of their original series coming out recently have been pretty crap. This one is a massive, obvious, huge exception in a whole bunch of different ways. And I think it deserves to be put in the same sort of discussion as shows like Hibike. Really well produced, really excellent, dramatic shows that focus on relatable characters and like emotional content that's resonant, that's valuable. I think it deserves to be a part of that discussion. I think it's very different from those shows now that we've seen the whole thing. Super different. And my initial forays into trying to compare them or trying to understand Sorayori through shows like EBK was probably pretty silly. But I think that Sorayori has a place in that discussion, in that tier of discussion, if you will. It's good. It's really good. Is it a 9 or a 10? I don't think it's a 10. I think it's a 9 for me. It's just too imperfect. There are too many flaws all throughout. That's not to say that like the flaws are blatant or like crazy, but the show ain't perfect. It nails a couple of things really perfectly. Episode 12 is absolutely one of those. And it's hard to come off of episode 12 and be like, yeah, it's a 9, not a 10. But I think if I think about the whole series, I think it's a 9, which is still an absurdly high score. Still really, really, really solid show. For being cohesive, for being a one core, for not having what looks like any kind of production difficulties, for flowing as well as it does, for having these relatable characters that have touched a bunch of people. Yeah, this is good stuff. Good stuff, Madhouse. Very wonderful. Really good show. Really excellently pulled together. Does it change my opinion on Madhouse? No, but it makes me a little bit more optimistic. It shows that the studio is still capable of good things, which is great and awesome. But I'm still going to go into most Madhouse shows, new shows, with a bit of trepidation. I think this is probably the best thing that they've made in years and years and years. Years and years and years. Actually, let me just take a look. Let me just take a look and see if I can think of anything that has had anything close to the level of impact. Sort by start date. Chihayafuru as an ongoing thing is good, but it's ongoing. Shometsu Toshi was pretty crap. No Guns Life didn't hold up. Boogie Pop didn't hold up initially, at least. I know some people liked it later, but I don't think it did. Overlords 2 and 3 were meh. Chukan Kanri Roku, the Tonegawa one, was just meh. And Sorayori, we come to 2018, and there it is. And that's the first show in the running, besides Chihayafuru, again, ongoing, that I think has been good. Past that, behind that, before that, No Game No Life 0, which I didn't like. Overlord Movies, which, again, I don't like. Aka, Prince of Stride. There we go. 2015 One Punch Man. There it is. And Overlord 1, which is better than the others. Okay, there we go. And then Ore Monogatari, Death Parade. Oh, here we go. We start getting into the good stuff. Kiseiju. And then for that year, in 2015, is, One Punch Man, Overlord, Ore Monogatari, Death Parade. 2014, Kiseiju, Hanayamata, No Game No Life, and the specials. Regular Magic High School, which is meh, but still pretty good. Hunter x Hunter movies, Hajime no Ippo Rising, Chihayafuru 2, as we move along. Death Billiards, which was the start for Death Parade. Hunter x Hunter movies. Batum, which I think is a great show, although it got cut early. Yeah, really great things before this. And then we hit Sorayori. We hit Yorimoi. And then after Yorimoi, nothing. Nothing that I have watched that has resonated with me at all. Shometsu Toshi has a 5.5. Boogie Pop gained itself a 7.1. Don't know if that's deserved. No Guns Life at a 6.9. Nice. Yeah, my opinion on Madhouse has not changed for recent Madhouse shows. But the possibility and the hope that they can make good shows, it's there. I'll give it to them. Because this is a good show. Really good one. A unique adventure show that is relatable and resonant and powerful and valuable and fun and goofy and balances all of that with emotional content with real value to it. Couldn't ask for more. I mean, I could, but I would just be being greedy. which is okay. Okay, I think that's a wrap. Um, I've been Teeaboo. This has been Sorayori Motoi Basho. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, or more. I fully understand that there are parts of this show that resonate more with other people than they do with me, and there is absolutely nothing in anything that I've said that you should take as any kind of like indictment or admonishment telling you shouldn't like this as much as you do. Hell, you should like it more than you do. You should really appreciate this show because it's a damn good one, and I hope that going through it and talking about it has helped add to that because it's really good and people deserve to experience it. It's valuable. It's good. Okay, that's the wrap. Me Teeaboo, this Sorayori. Hope you liked it. See you next time. I don't know what the hell we're gonna do for a poll for this one. I don't know what I'm gonna do for coming weeks. I'll be thinking about it. I've got some ideas brewing, simmering, but nothing is set in stone yet. I'll think about it over this week and we'll figure it out. In any case, I'll see you later. Peace.